Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon is arguably the most well-known grape in the world. It's often associated with wine snobs for a couple of reasons. The first is that it tends to have fuller body, higher levels of pigment, and more intense flavors, which can scare away many a wine novice. The second reason is that the grape's higher tannin and acid levels make it a desirable grape for aging, and aged wines are more costly, and only the rich or well-connected are seen to be able to afford them on a regular basis. The common profile flavor of Cabernet can include black fruit, green bell pepper, cedar and menthol, or eucalyptus, depending on where it's grown. Interestingly, Cabernet is an offspring of Cabernet Franc, a black grape, and Sauvignon Blanc, a white grape. It prefers a moderate to hot climate and sand or gravel soil. It is thick-skinned, as you may guess by the pigmentation, and it buds late and ripens late, which you'll find is the opposite of Merlot. Cabernet is one of two principal grapes of the Bordeaux region. Merlot is the other. Where Burgundy is more of a purist, requiring their wines to be homogeneous, Bordeaux is a hetero. The wines here are blends that will include, among Cabernet and Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Malbec, or Petit Verdot, and will be referred to as Bordeaux blends. Bordeaux is divided into the left bank and the right bank. To determine which is which, you have to stand just beyond where the Gironde River splits, facing the northwest. To your left will be the Cabernet-dominated wines of the left bank, and to your right will be the Merlot-dominated wines of the right bank. Better-known left bank villages for Cabernet Sauvignon are Medoc, Haute-Medoc, Grave, Pauillac, Pessac-Léognan, and Margaux. This area is the most northern place where this varietal will grow. The bell pepper flavor shows itself here, especially in the younger wines. Also in the New World, Italy is making Super Tuscans with Cabernet Sauvignon. Another outstanding region for Cabernet is Napa. If a Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon is labeled as such, at least 75% of the wine must come from this grape. Venturesome winemakers here are creating Bordeaux blends, but you'll see them labeled typically as Meritage. There's some excellent examples out there of these wines also. In the US, you're going to experience riper fruit flavors and higher tannin levels that are assisted by the use of American oak. Cabernet Sauvignon has played a very important role in the history of wine in the United States. For many years, California struggled to achieve the level of international notoriety that the French have enjoyed for centuries. When Prohibition ended, many California Cabernets were seen as excessively tannic or considered too bold for the rest of the world, as is the case with many things American. Many vineyards and wineries during this time were bought by investors with little to no experience in the industry. Now, how could they possibly make a product to parallel those that have been made for centuries in the Old World? This is how the world viewed us at that time. Fortunately, a professor from Chicago, Warren Winiarski of Stag's Leap Vineyard, beat out quite a few of the top wines of Bordeaux, along with some other California samples in a blind tasting held in 1976. This tasting, known as the Judgment of Paris, is the subject of a delightful and informative book written by George Tabor. It is also the basis for the movie Bottle Shock, although the movie focuses more on the California Chardonnay, Chateau Montelena, that also took the crown, but in the white category. Cabernet Sauvignon is playing a strong role in Chile's gain on the marketplace. Here, Cabernet represents nearly half of the black grapes grown in that country. Here, the bell pepper taste that you perceive is going to remind you more of a red than a green bell pepper. You may even catch a little mint. Blending partners in Chile include Merlot, but also Carmenere and Syrah. Central Valley and Maipo are regions to watch. You'll also find Cabernet in Australia, in the Coonawarra or Margaret River regions, to be specific. And here's where you're going to pick up that eucalyptus or menthol flavor. All right, for this tasting exercise, choose one from a moderate climate and one from a hot climate. Look for differences in acidity. Are there any differences in flavor or tannins? You may also choose to make your own judgment of Paris and compare an old world Bordeaux to a new world Napa. Any similarities in texture, or are those wines distinctive from one another? If you already know that you enjoy a good cab and have the resources to do so, see how many different areas you can touch with this tasting exercise. All right, words or phrases to look for on the label to know you're buying a Cabernet Sauvignon, or at least a cab-dominated blend. Cabernet Sauvignon, Medoc, Haute Medoc, Pauillac, Margaux, Pessac-Léognan, Grave, Saint-Estèphe, Saint-Julien. There's a lot going on in the bottle of a Cabernet Sauvignon, but you should taste predominantly dark fruit flavors, and then following with one or more of these others: red fruit, dried fruit, tobacco, sweet spice, herb, cedar, bell pepper, red or green, depending on the region or the climate, mint, eucalyptus, and menthol. Pairing Cabernet. Their higher tannin levels make it difficult to pair with a lot of foods, but there's still a great many that make a good match. Tannin needs protein. So you're going to look for steak, red meat, grilled foods, smoked foods, lamb, aged cheeses, or recipes calling for a lot of black pepper, like a peppercorn steak or peppercorn chicken, peppercorn pork.